mercy.
The doors of the Love Church are now open. Dear world, you name it, we cover it from the world of singles to the behind the scenes of the greatest movie ever filmed, called Marriage. We dig into everything from dating 101. Why won't they commit? It's complicated. I can't do it if it's the three of us. They're a good person, but I'm not attracted to them in that way. 2, they really didn't disclose who they were before I said I do. How do I do this if they can't keep a job? The bills are paid, but the bedroom is suffering. Did I marry you or did I marry your family because we only can take care of us? Let's open up our marriage. Why do I have to buy into your beard gang illusion? You could have told me you were down low and we could have remained friends and not married. And last but not least, did you marry me or your pastor? Have we gotten your attention yet? If so, tune in to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio. Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you want to hear more of today's real issues in the world of love. The doors of the Love Church are now open.
All right. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to
frozen?
Perspectives, huh?
Just
What happened? What happened, Adam? Can you hear me?
You frozen, man.
Are you serious? I got
Okay, no, you okay now, but you like you having some
all right. I
difficulties.
got my things.
Anybody in the comments, let us know. Are we frozen or are we real time?
Yeah, or is it yours? Is somebody wrong with you? Yeah.
Hey, you know what? It's all
wrong with
right.
yours. Because I got all my bars over here, buddy.
You got all your bars?
Yeah, I got all my bars.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So let the folks speak. Are we frozen or can you guys hear us? Because he's thinking we're okay. So no frozen, nothing, Miss Marlena, nothing like that. Just want to make sure. Okay, all right.
I know because you know that daggone Charles got that off-brand internet.
Whatever. That's why yours is from Walmart. Yeah, Walmart.
I didn't get it from the dollar store. I didn't get that done with the dollar store.
You got the plug running straight from the store. All up your street, all to the back. Anyway, so yeah, man. Yeah. It's crazy. So how was your week, man?
Well, you might as well keep on. It was good. My week was good. Happy for the holiday to take a little break. Take a little siesta, breathe a little bit, before we head back into it next week.
Yeah, man.
How about you? How you doing?
Pretty good, man. Everything is everything. I can't complain. Just trying to get things focused. Okay, right. So this been some. So if you all remember, the other week we were having the one show, and we kind of went left on the topic, and we ended up talking about the couple that were arguing, or they were, I guess, talking and having their conversation, their drama in front of everybody, which ended in death, right? So that was that. Since then, there has still been the same. I mean, this is happening everywhere for the most part. It's just starting to happen. And so it just, because I had a whole nother idea of something to talk about, right, this week. But when this one thing happened in Dallas, it was just kind of like the light bulb was like, you know what, we need to really talk about this because this is getting bad. So basically, there was something that occurred. I want to say, let's see, today is Friday. Maybe it occurred on either Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. There's a mall on the south side of Dallas. There's like this mall over there. I want to say it's either called Lady Bird Mall or something Bird Mall over there. And so, to make a long story short, there was this 41-ish year old female. She walks, African American female. She walks into the mall. She goes up to this guy he has this smoothie stand inside of the place, like a little smoothie store that he owns, black guy. She walks up to him. They having their exchange back and forth. This is what the witnesses said. They were having their exchange, and then she pulls out the blicky and shoots like 6 times, killed a man right there in the store. And people were saying they heard them talking about like, oh, you was with her, you was doing this, you were, like basically saying you cheating on me or whatever the situationship between all of them were. And so, but the thing to me, man, and so that was one. And then I heard of another one that was similar, and I may have the details are slightly twisted, but this happened in Shreveport, Louisiana, and so basically, guy kind of playing in between two females or whatever. I think one of them finds out. You know how they always find you out, right? And so then the guy, he didn't. The girl was want to leave him alone, but she's like, "You doing this, that, and the other." So he goes over there trying to have a conversation and spazzing out with her, kills her. And I'm just like, listen, what is happening? Like, you know what this is telling me, man? It's like, I've been thinking about this for the longest time, but it's just like, we are, you know how in the scripture, Adam, it says how about entertaining people unaware. It talks about that scripture. I forget about entertaining. What's it? I'm talking about. It talks about,
Angel,
yes, but
entertaining angels unaware.
in this world, we're entertaining demons unaware. People are with people that have some serious mental health issues. And I don't think we realize how affected most of us are today with this mental illness stuff. And it's like people are used to it being, oh, something is wrong with this person. They got to go to such and such hospital and be sedated. Like back in the day, that's how you separated when something was wrong. Nowadays,
Right.
people are coping regularly, walking around regularly, going out with you regularly, looking well regularly, getting their hair done regularly, getting their hair cut regularly, smelling good, all of the things, but are a stone throw away from being thrown all the way off, and will lose it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think we got to put more emphasis on this because this is affecting more people than you know, and people are in relationships with people that they are just, it's like a very abusive nature, right? It's a very abusive nature. And people have, unfortunately, we have become immune to the abuse. It's like the abuse is now cute. Oh, that they just love me. It's like the little, if you don't have a hint of ratchetness, your relationship not popping, right? And so nowadays we have normalized this kind of dysfunction. And so for us to get to this point to not be able to handle either rejection or not to be able to have constructive arguments where you disagree and agree to disagree today and we're going to move on, right? It's nowadays, it has turned to the narrative of, if I catch you playing in my face, or if I think you lying to me, I'm going to pull up and we're going to deal with the situation, right? Or if you leave the person alone, you don't want to be bothered. Oh, I'm going to pull up because you're not going to leave me and we're going to deal with the situation. It's just like, how did we go from the nature of breakups back in the day, right? There was a breakup. Oh, me and this person broke up. You ain't talking to them no more? Nah, we broke up. Yeah, you may have your narratives about somebody trying to say they did this. This is why. But now it's no more of that. It's no more middle ground. It is in ground. And it is like, I don't know, how do we get to such a callous culture? It's terrible.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sitting there just thinking about in terms of what you're talking about different relationships, the different relationships that have ended in tragedy, and it really does speak, like you said, to our own collective mental health as a society, and it really kind of points to our lack of tools, relationship tools that help us to navigate the difficulty of relationships. Because I think I've said it maybe last week or a week before last, and I made a statement, and it's a very true statement, that relationships are not easy. Relationships are not for the faint of heart. Relationships are not for fragile people. Relationships are not for people that are easily broken. And if you're going into a relationship thinking that everything is going to be okay and everything's going to be good every single moment that you're in that relationship, you are doing yourself a disservice. You are deceiving yourself. You are not willing to face the reality of the eventuality that something's going to go wrong in your relationship. And so you need to be able to have the necessary relationship skills to be able to successfully navigate and steer your relationship in the right direction. A
Mm.
lot of it also has to do with the fact that if you are, as an individual person, having some emotional difficulties, mental difficulties, then you need to see about getting yourself some serious help. You
Mm.
know, it might mean that you might have to talk to a pastor or a counselor or a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist on whatever level that you need that help to be able to deal with the realities of life. Please, sir, please, ma'am, do your best to seek the best help you can possibly get to be able to handle this. But let's be honest, Charles, as
Uh-huh.
far as mental health, as far as acknowledging mental health is concerned, particularly within the African American community, we have been negligent within the last 40 to 50 years in terms of acknowledging that we have difficulty as an African American people. We
Mm.
haven't always acknowledged the fact that uh, a psychologist or a therapist is there to help us. As a matter of fact, we were taught the opposite. That if you don't, if you got to go to a psychologist or a therapist or a counselor, then you don't need to be dealing with nobody. Maybe you are quote unquote quote, and I'm gonna say this, but I'm gonna explain it later. Maybe you quote unquote are possessed by a demon.
Oh.
But the problem with that is that it is a refusal and a denial of what your actual reality is. And that is the fact that everybody, to some degree or another, suffers with some mental issue, with some emotional inadequacy that we have. And we have to be able to acknowledge that and stop running away from it. You know what I'm saying? I think for so long, again, as a people, we have run away from the realities of our lives. The
Mm.
fact that we grew up in homes that were abusive and negligent, the fact that we came from homes that were broken by divorce, the fact that dad wasn't always there for us, and sometimes mom wasn't there for us too,
Right.
which left us lacking
Yeah.
some things that we should have had from the very beginning. And because of our inability to be able to acknowledge these things, now we find ourselves having to deal with adult situations, being in adult relationships, unable to deal with the reality of being an adult and dealing with the reality of the fact that my relationship isn't going the way that I would like it to go. What am I going to do?
Wow. Wow.
And
Yeah.
so I think it really is it's a gut check moment where we have to sit back and look at ourselves as a people and also as individuals and say, okay, you know what? We need to push the brakes on this. We need to stop and take a moment, examine ourselves, and find out what the problem is. And then not only examine and find out what the problem is, come up with a solution, a viable solution that
Yeah.
will work for us.
Oh man. You know what else I picked up on was when I was doing some research on this. I said I don't think some of us even
Mhm.
hone in on what the world considers mental disorders, right? So I'll read a couple of them. So it says anxiety disorders. This is what they're considering under mental health issues. Uh, Attention deficit,
Okay.
hyperactivity disorder. Um, they're even saying autism spectrum disorder, bipolar disorder,
Mhm.
borderline personality disorder. Then here's the crazy one:
Okay.
COVID-19 and mental health. They're putting that on there. Depression
Well,
and disruptive mood uh, dysregulation disorder. So it's just like it's so many. I'm saying that to say this is so broad. It paints the brush of many of us. How many people do we know deal with anxiety or
yeah.
bipolar or ADHD, all sorts of things that they're now labeling under mental health? And it's just like, and so those are just the standardized one. We haven't even gotten into the schizophrenia and the real trauma triggered ones, right? That kind of leave people really, really in a misaligned way. And so this thing is scary. And I think we have to kind of, it's like when you are meeting people, I'm not saying you gotta scour somebody's whole background in 2 minutes, but you definitely need to understand what you are and who you're dealing with. Because people, what's
Yeah.
happening, what I'm learning today is people are coming into people's lives, meeting them, dating them, and desiring serious relationships, and they have serious medical histories that they have not disclosed. We're not even talking about health. We're talking about mental health. People have been places, have been on
Mhm.
strong medicines, right? They just look good, but have been in some situations. And so, and what's happening is people are connecting with these people based off what you see and hear initially. And then by the time you get caught into, oh, I like them, oh, I want to deal with them, and now you're partial. So when you become partial, you ignore those flags that are in your face, right? And they end up coming back to bite folks, as we see. Because I always say, just like I say about knowing about a person's turn up before you get really committed to them, the full extent, you need to get to know the full extent of somebody's anger. Because anger will catch
Okay.
you in a moment. And when it comes, it's too late. Like whenever it snaps, it's like you can't have a dry run for a dangerous attitude person, right? It usually happens when somebody gets upset and you realize, oh, okay, this is when a little left, right? So now you face with the
Right.
decision to kind of try to figure out, is this something we can talk about and work through, or is this something probably well beyond my scope and comprehension of dealing with? You know what I mean? So yeah.
No. Yeah. And I would even add to that, and just to take this a little bit deeper, I kind of wonder if we actually know ourselves. And what I mean by that is, are we aware of the things that trigger us? Are we aware of certain emotional pitfalls that can push us into a place of reminding us of whatever trauma we used to experience? I wonder, because I think sometimes we go into relationships and we don't necessarily know what's going to put us in a place of being triggered. It's not until that moment actually happens
Yeah.
that we know that we have been triggered by a particular thing. And I think it's important that, as much as you are able to kind of like know yourself, because if you know yourself, you at least can advise the other person as to see, hey, this is what you might be dealing with when you're dealing with me. And
Yeah.
I'll just give you just a real example about my own life, okay? I know for me personally, sometimes, every now and again, a brother will catch an attitude for no reason.
Okay.
Honest. And I'm sure my wife can attest to the fact, and those who live with me can attest to the fact, every now and then, that brother ain't quite right.
He gonna
Ain't
get
nobody done nothing to him.
yeah.
He's sitting in the room by himself, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden, he just mad. It was funny because I was coming home from work the other day. I was driving. I was coming home from work the other day, and for whatever reasons, I don't know, maybe it was because I was hot, I was tired, or whatever like that. I get in the car and I'm just mad. And it's just me in the car. I'm by myself. It's just me. I'm a little mad. And I said to myself,
What you
"Oh,
mad for?
so you're a little irritable. You're a little irritable today. Okay, go home, go in the room, be by yourself until you get yourself together." You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it just takes for us to acknowledge that there are certain things inside of us that happen through no fault of our own. It's just life sometimes happens.
For sure.
And you have to be able and honest and transparent enough with the people that are in your life to be able to say to them, hey, you know what, babe? I'm kind of I'm having a problem today. I'm having a struggle today. It's real. Let me just chill over here in the corner for a hot second until I can get myself together. You know what I'm saying? And I think we really need to be straight up and honest with ourselves and with those that are connected to us so they can understand where we are, and then they can also begin to know how to deal with us. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm not in the best of moods. take yourself downstairs to your man cave and sit until you get yourself together. That's what you do. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes we just need to do that. We just need to acknowledge, hey, I got an issue with this, or I have an issue with that. You know what I'm saying? So that way we kind of mitigate some of this stuff that triggers us and causes us to flip out for no reason at all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And so you know what else I've learned, Adam, is to, and a lot of people probably don't do this, but when you meet people and before those triggers are discovered, or before you experience those outbursts of anger or whatever happens, if you listen closely to people over time, and even in the shortfall, they will begin to tell you the things they really desire to do and have. Like let's just say, if it's a woman really wanting to be married, or wanting to be in love, or wanting to be love goals, she's going to mention it. If you listen, you're going to hear in those early conversations, well, I just don't have time for games. I'm just out here. I've been through this, and what I'm looking for is that. So when a man hears that, or vice versa, women, if you hear a guy talk that way, that should be your hone-in moment to say, this is a sensitive spot for this person. So that means be careful skating around those topics if you're not authentic, right? Not that you have to be on some necessary timeline either way, but if you know that you're not authentic about it, you got to know we live in an era where people don't do well with this kind of disappointment, right? So let's just say you go telling the person, let's talk about, I saw this jewelry store downtown. Let's go in there. Because I told my mother and them, I think I might have met one. You're saying all these things. And so in the person that really wants it, they're like, oh my God, this is sounding, he's so what I'm talking about. He's serious. And he got the person really thinking, y'all are here. You go down to the jewelry store, you go through all the motions, try that ring on. That look good on you. Okay. Well, guess what? Now I know what you like. You playing these games, right? So now the situation goes off, you got the person feeling like, I not only just like him, I really like him because we're on a trajectory that I love. And in his mind, he just thinking we on a trajectory because this is the way to get what I want. So we on this trajectory, right? So the two are misaligned. So here comes fast forward. The person just has that one instance where maybe you get caught in the wrong, or you do something, or you a little out of pocket with your actions toward the relationship. That person will you'll immediately be met with that spirit I'm talking about. If that comes out, because now the person is triggered and they're like, wait, and everybody's trigger looks totally different, right? And you never know what you are met with. And in this day and time, we just have to be that much more cognizant of what we are doing when we're dealing with the emotions of one another. Here's another reason why I say this. Now, and nobody take this personally. This affects us all.
Too late.
No, this affects all of us. So here's the thing. We have to remember this one thing. There are the natural things that happen to us that we have no control over regarding our mental health, or things we were born with, or whatever. Those are some natural things that occur. But we live in a society that constantly programs us against the grain of traditional thought. And when I say that, what I mean, the world is filled with all sorts of augmentations. You can do this, change this, do this, buy this, have this, shift this, get rid of that, do this, that, and the other. So we have now become in the business of build a self. Right? That's the business we in. We want fuller lips. We want this. We want this. Heck, the men aren't even excluded. The men want bigger so-and-sos. So you got it. So my point is, everybody is playing this builder self concept. But what's really happening is the powers that be are teaching us real-time mental illness, because we are learning to believe something that's not actualized. We're learning, we're doing things to alter ourselves and then believing that's our real self. That's mental illness. And so all of us, in some degree, anytime you're dealing with any sort of change or augmentation to your self, your genuine self, aside from raw exercise, right? Aside from real weight loss and without any additives and all those things, that's you practicing mental health issues. It's like a thing that we're willfully doing it, and we don't mean a lot of us don't have a clue that's what's going on. We just are doing what we like because it looks good, and we just want to be our best life and all these things. But what we're doing is we are actually believing that we got Remy #2 long hair, or the guy's believing he got a real 8-pack because he got a lipo for his stomach. So he believed he got extra size on his piece because he got something done when he don't. He's really, he may have got the work done, but his mind is still small. Because his mind knows the history of him being small. So if he doing this psychologically, he's starting to believe, yeah, I think I'm going to start a porn movie. No, that's not your reality. It might be your physical change, but it's not your mental reality. So we are in this place now where we are out there believing we are these characters that we create. We created fictional avatars of ourselves. We out here changing and acting, and you can't tell nobody nothing different. You would think he been fine all his life, she been fine all her life. But we've created these things. We've become these power users of societies, and for the world can dote upon us and desire and lust for us because we created it and we believe what we created. And so that's why I say so many of us are in bad positions and we don't even realize it. And that's why when these relational things are occurring and when somebody feels like you got cheated on or somebody left you for this or doing this for that, people are thinking, wait, this goes against the grain of what I created. I created something where this is supposed to happen to me. I'm a 10, 11, 12. So how can this happen to me? Oh, no, you won't, because now it's a direct gut punch against my self-esteem. So in order to protect my self-esteem, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Because a lot of people's self-esteem nowadays is hinged upon the acceptance of the person they're with. And if that person is feeding them acceptance, they good. If the person gives them a smidgen of rejection, it's the problem. Or if you say no or you don't, now it's off the hook. So that's what I'm saying. It's like we got to wake up to what's happening with ourselves and say, listen, like, is this healthy? And how am I thinking about life and myself in general? How am I thinking about love compared to how things are with me? Is it realistic? And how am I showing up this way simply because a person decides they don't want to be in my life anymore? It hurts. We've all been smacked with by one point or another time in life. But as much as it hurts, it doesn't give anyone the right to kill somebody. Like, it don't give you the right because your feelings hurt to go and take somebody's life. Now, I get it. Now, I'm going to be honest. If someone was trying to take your life and you have a chance to defend yourself, that's different. But if you are reacting and responding to frustration and anger because someone did something that you are like, you got the gall to do this. Oh, where's my knife? Where's my gun? And it's just it's bad. And if also, and I'll turn this over to you. Also, if you think about it, when you look at even all over social media, when people are having these conflicts, their supporting cast is coming to do the harm too. The whole family is there, the uncle, the cousin, and they there to do damage. They're not there to be like, y'all need to go ahead and separate. This is unhealthy. Yeah, you go ahead and pack your stuff, and we're gonna take you on home. No, they are there to cohort together to do some hurt. And that's the time that we in nowadays. It's just like, you better really do some thinking.
Yeah. You know what occurred to me, Charles, while you were talking? Just kind of two different things that occurred to me. The first thing is, now I feel like this actually probably is a thing. but I'm not sure if it's actually happening. And that is the fact that I think what's happening is um, some people are being gaslit, and I know that's it's a more modern
Modern
term,
term.
whereas
Yeah.
you're making them think, yeah, you're making a person think that they're crazy about what you're doing or not doing or saying
Right.
or not saying. And so, if we were to apply it to these particular situations, uh, again, we don't know. We only know what we see and what's been reported to us. We have no idea what the dynamic was between the two people. But I get a sense in overall in terms of how things are going relationship wise in our society is that some people are gaslighting other people and that they're making them think that I'm with you, I got you,
Yeah.
I'm always going to be have your back, and whatever you want, baby, is yours. And then they go right out and find somebody else and make the same promises to them.
Yeah.
And then they go out and they find somebody else to make the same promises, and they go and it goes on and on and on. And so basically, and then okay, so let me kind of like bring the scenario all the way in. And so one particular night, this particular guy's out with this particular girl. They're in a restaurant, okay, and the other girl that he had already made promises to walks by and sees this guy that's supposed to be committed to her out with this other girl. Well, all along he was telling her, "I'm with you, baby. It's just me and you, baby." But all the while he was entertaining somebody else.
For sure.
And psychologically, it's messed with their mind. I mean, whose mind would it not mess with? Who would not be unhinged and triggered by the sight of seeing the person that you have committed yourself to with somebody else?
Mm.
That would totally unhinge you.
For sure.
It would totally make you lose your mind because you have believed everything this person has said to you is true, aka your guys lit them. You made them believe one thing when in reality it was something else. Now again, I have not personally experienced that, but I have heard stories where people have made other people believe what they wanted them to believe when in reality it was altogether something else. And I think what happens is when you have given your all to somebody else and they pull the rug from underneath of you and they show you who they really are and how they really are and what they're really about, then you go, "Oh crap, this person is not really for me. This person is actually against me.
Yeah.
And they're willing to do whatever they want to do against me."
Yeah.
Again, this is what happens when you get gaslit. And I think sometimes some of these situations are just that. They're exactly that. You meet somebody, they say they're going to do this, they say they're going to do that, they say they want to be with you, and you're the only one. Come to find out, you in a long line of people. You in a long line of people who they made the same promises to. Now, mind you, I'm not making excuses. I'm not condoning any type of behavior where somebody else's life is taken as a result. But what I am saying is we got to be careful in terms of what we say. And we have to be honest with how we really are. So if you like dating multiple people at one time, I think you need to give a disclosure from the very beginning that says, "Hey, I'm not just dating you, I'm also dating other people. Are you okay with that?" And let them make the decision as to whether or not they're going to date you. Because to sit there and to deceive them and make them believe that you are committed to them as much as they're committed to you, it's not going to end well. And I think this is what we're seeing. We're seeing the results of people who aren't being straight up and honest in terms of what their actual intentions are. Yeah. Again, if you're dating multiple people, I'm not saying you shouldn't date multiple people. But what I am saying is you owe it to the other person to say to them, "I'm dating multiple people." Bam, there it is. You ain't got nothing to worry about that. Okay?
Go ahead.
So here's the other side of that. Here's the other side of that. And again, this is not necessarily associated with that or related to that, but it's another perspective on this. And that is the fact with the advent of social media, the way that it is now, a lot of us have totally tapped into social media, and it has become our reality.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as social media, our postings and likes have become the totality of our world, and it has become our reality, we have, by default, disconnected from the actual reality.
Mm-hmm.
So, when it comes to having a real relationship with somebody, we don't know how to do that because we disconnected from reality. See, we think reality is about getting likes and how many people viewed my post and how many people are watching me now and how many friends do I have. Well, that's not a real gauge on life as it actually is, because that's all fabricated. There is no truth to that. There's no substance to that. That's all virtual reality, if you will. That's in the social media world, if you will. It's not real reality. So when real things happen to us, Charles, because of the fact that we have disconnected from reality, now we are ill-equipped to deal with the actual reality of our actual lives. And I'll just leave that right there.
Okay, so you're bringing something on tonight to mind. And what I'm thinking about when I hear this is, yeah, I'm going to have to go there. We are breeding a society of victims. And the reason I say that is because while everything you said is exactly true, but what I've learned, even personally myself, is when it comes to either not disclosing all that your hand is involved in or whether you do disclose it, it comes down to apples and oranges with truth. Because you could, as a man, he can say, so what you got going on? No, absolutely nothing. Y'all play too many games, so if you're going to show me, just show me. But what they're not telling you is I do have a sex partner. There is a person that I kind of like a little bit, but I don't think they're going to measure up to who you are. So I'm going to give you the preference, but I'm not being completely honest. I'm just telling you nobody is there, but there is somebody there. It's just not official, but they're there. So this happens on both sides. And I think what happens is we're grown enough, and I say this all the time. Yes, nobody wants anybody to play games or anything. But just like at the onset, like if you ever go to a social event or social area, you may see a guy do what they call shoot his shot to a female, and you'll quickly see her. No, thank you, sweetheart, but I'm good, and we'll cut it right there. I'm not interested. That's that. But in relationships, because we want something, because we want a desired end, we rest it all in the person we're interested in. And so what happens is, now, if this person doesn't necessarily do what I want, never mind the red flags I saw. I just want this end with you. So I'm going to ride this out. And when you hurt me, I still deserve the right to turn up and blow your life up. See, there's a responsibility. Wow. There's the responsibility of the person putting the gasoline in the vehicle. And there's a person to know what happens when they're either out of gas and when you got fuel. So there's a mutual responsibility that should be happening. It should just be, I'm a victim and you gaslighting me. I say this all the time. I'm going to see, I wrote this down. Hold on. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, forget. I said, hold on. Perfect example. We see things and we go blind to what we want to go blind to. Number one, if there's no action, there's no activity. So if there's no action, no activity, there's no reality, then that means there's no relationship. So when we see this formula happening, don't twist it to make it what you want to make it. See what it is, right, and accept the truth, even if it's an indirect truth, it's still a truth. What I've learned to do nowadays, rather than listen to people's words, I look at what they do or don't do. half the time people don't even understand. People are with people that if you didn't say to yourself, if you didn't say good morning, they wouldn't say a word to you. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, are you the sole driver, or is this a mutual thing? Some of these things are small; they don't got to be so big, but it's little things will tell you if this person rock with you or not. Right? Little small things will let you know if they there for real, or they just really wasting your time and they can care less. And so when you see these things, pay attention, and if it doesn't work for you, remove yourself, because we do live in a hypersensitive environment mentally. Oh, it don't take long for people at all to
Yeah.
respond. We see it every day on social media where these people are taking now we making TV shows out of it, taking their phones. Oh, you know what? He told me he didn't work today. Guess what, y'all? He gonna learn today. Go inside the house when he with a girl, you shooting. We do all this kind of stuff like it's a joke, but it's really showing how far out and whacked out we are mentally. And so it's just like, listen, that to be honest, and I'll let it go to you, and I'll come back to this part. I don't want to totally take it to church, but I personally think it's the age old argument that when we take on marital behaviors, right, we have to deal with marital responses. And the thing about marriage, the grace of that exchange is for marriage. It's not for just single people. Some graces are for marriage. So if you're acting marriage, that's why God is happy when people do get married, because he knows there's a grace over it. When you are not married, yeah, the grace is that y'all still hanging in there, but it's the grace to keep it, the grace to cover things is not there, right? Whereas in a marriage, there are some things that can happen that between you and your partner, and you can get through it because it's the grace to get through it. But on the outside world, it's a total different thing. So
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Yeah, if you're in a marriage that is a committed relationship, there absolutely is grace, because the hope is, and I'm not saying this is true for every marriage, but ideally the hope is that because we are married, we are willing to work at what we have to make it better as we go along, to continue to grow, to develop as a husband and as a wife should, and that we grow a home that is fulfilled and full of joy, and that we're not trying to sit here, we're not trying to gaslight one another, even though there are some married couples that do that. I ain't gonna say no names, but I'm just saying that there are, you're not taking your commitment to marriage and the person that you're married to as seriously as you should, And so Charles, let me just float this out there. So I believe that even before we get married, that we should be able to at least exhibit some qualities that show that we can be married, that we in a relationship should be able to display some characteristics that help the other person to understand and realize that I am marriage material, that we can be married. Because if I'm not showing you my level of commitment before we get married, and then we do get married, but I haven't shown you my commitment, and I end up showing you some other stuff, then the reality is you should have never married me, because I never showed you that I could be committed in a marriage. You know what I'm saying? That should be something that should be observed. And what I'm saying is, there are some things that I need to know before we get married, so that when we are married, I know where I stand with you, and I know where you stand with me. You know what I'm saying? So absolutely. But yeah, these are
man, listen, and a lot of this also comes from this. We always got to remember this part of it. Anyone that's too comfortable with you can get too comfortable and cross boundaries. When people feel like they just know you so well, I can do and get away with this, those are the people that are likely to cross those boundaries that you have, those personal boundaries. And so when I thought about that one time, I remember bringing this up in an instance once before that I felt like a person was just like they really, to me, we had only probably known each other probably 3 months or so. So to me, you don't know me at all. You know what I presented to you in 3 months, but you don't know me. And so when we kind of had this little spat when we were out eating one time, and she's like, "Well, what do you mean?" I said to her, I said, it's okay to be familiar, but just don't forget who I am. Like at the end of the day, you can be familiar, but it's like we got to still have respect. Like being familiar, don't get twisted and don't have the respect. If I'm not disrespecting you, let's not cross that line. So we can still be, we can be cool and all that, but I just think when people start doing that too soon or trying you at the line too soon, that's probably not going to be a good dwelling. It's not going to work out well because you see where this is heading. You know what I mean? And so, and another, another thing I was going.
I was just going to say. I was going to say, you're absolutely right that we shouldn't act prematurely when it comes to our relationship. We should allow our relationships to develop over time, through time. And I think what's important too is, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to paraphrase it, but I believe this is applicable to our conversation. And it's a saying that we say, but I really want us to understand and pay attention to what's being said. And that is, believe people when they say and show you who they are. And I think a lot of times we have a tendency to put on, I don't know, maybe sunglasses, dark glasses, rose-colored glasses, whatever kind of glasses you got on, that filter and color how we perceive people. And but we neglect to actually acknowledge what they have said to us and what they have shown us about themselves. Because how do I really know you? Well, you're going to say certain things, but even more than you say is what you do. It's how you act. It's your behavior. See, I don't believe it's just on one, it's not just coming through one stream, but it's coming through at least two streams. It's about what you say, because I should be listening to what you say, but also I should be paying attention to your behavior and how you're conducting yourselves, how you are acting. Here's the thing. So it ain't so much about how you treat me, and it definitely is about how you treat me, but it's also about how you treat other people. And to just chime in on what you said, Charles, about, not forgetting who I am, absolutely. If I'm in a relationship with you, then I should acknowledge who you are and not just take you for granted. You know what I'm saying? Not just, that's just Charles, and that's he gonna take whatever I give him. No. Hey, you can try if you want to, but I'm not gonna hang around for that. I guarantee you that. I'm not gonna hang around for that. And so that's how you got to approach it, right? Because you are important to me. Just like my wife is important to me. She don't treat me any old kind of way, and I don't treat her any old kind of way. If we treated each other any old kind of way, then we would not be married today. As a matter of fact, we probably would not have gotten married.
Right. Because we
didn't respect each other. Right. We didn't respect each other. We didn't love each other. We didn't value each other. But because I do respect her, because I do love her, because I do value her, I treat her the way she wants me to treat her.
You
know what I'm saying? And so that's what I'm at.
All right. So now we're gonna go just a little teensy bit towards the church. Just teensy bit.
Right.
No, here is an opinion that really, I could slap myself a couple times with it too. Couple times. But anyway, the point I was trying to say is this. Yes, there are people in the world, Adam, that we may have been taught and shown better ways of conducting ourselves, right? or managing principles and values. So let me just say this. So I was raised up in a Christian household. So of course there were things that I was taught at home as well as at church of what's this, that, and the other. And
Right.
irregardless of how we end up where we end up, sometimes things happen. Kids get curious. Kids get creative to sneak and do what they want to do. And then next thing you know, kids become fathers. You know what I'm saying? So things happen. So the point I'm making with that is, I'm saying this to say, I have learned, even though it has been something that I have picked up, but when I step back and look at the reason that I perceive for a lot of disdain in these relationships, and I just can't even want to say this, but I think, Adam, it comes from sex. Me personally, it's like, this is what I mean. I'm talking about outside of marriage. When you have sex, you open up a
Marriage. Okay.
portal.
Okay.
You open up a portal between the two. And so this is how I used to look at it when I was younger, when I was listening to my Bible study and all that. The way I saw marriage was sex within the household with your partner is what permeates between two married people, which assist with their process of becoming one. The sex, of course, the procreativity, and then the sex to blend the two, like the constant loving on one another, loving on one another. That's how you get to the point of being one. But so the point I'm making with that is, it's the process of becoming one, which is what marriage provides. When we are single, it's a difference. So it's like there's a difference between coming together and becoming one. Coming together single, becoming one married. The difference is there is a process attached to becoming one.
Right.
When we are single, there is no process. We're not governed by anything, so there is no process. So this is why people are always saying, well, what are we doing? What is this going to do? What are we doing? Because if you're in a marriage, the goal is to become one. That's our process. So when we making love, sex, or whatever, the goal is to merge. But when we do it outside of marriage, we just doing it. And so what that does is it's causing something that's supposed to be a bonding agent for married folks to become a divisive agent for single folks.
Wow.
When we do it, it divides us. When married folks do it, it collides them. So this is why we get into these. To me, I think think about it. Again, that's why I said about the marriage part. You got people out here slanging like they in the Rio Grande, and they slanging to this one, to that one, giving all they got over here. Oh, I did all this last night. Oh, I did this one, this, I did this. And people are like, oh my God, that was amazing. That's what a wife should say, right? That's for a wife to say.
Right.
But when we do it outside of that, we don't have the security, the confines to deal with it emotionally.
Yeah.
So when we get all this, oh, this person, they broke my back, they did all of this, oh, shorty did this to me. When we have all of these stories, now when it happens, you're uncovered. And so if something goes left, if a person don't believe you, if they don't think this, or they think they caught you over here, oh, it's all bets off.
Right.
Anything can happen. And so, we got to think about that. I know people probably will say, oh, shut up, we like sex and ain't nobody going to stop. Okay, fine. But anyway, the point is this. But it's for real, though. Like, seriously, I'm so serious when I say I really believe sex is behind majority of the culprit between these really, really diabolical endings. People can't handle when somebody has let you in to a world intimately and did all of this. You did this to me. You did that. And then you're going to go over there. It snaps people. like you said, it snapped,
Right.
and people just it come apart. So that's why I say,
Yeah.
yeah, there are no perfect necessarily. Marriage has its trials too, but marriage is built to contain certain chaoses better than singlehood. Singlehood, it ain't built for it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Marriage is built for it, and so it's just like, if two people want to stay
Yeah.
married, you want to stay married, it's built for it. If you don't, you can be like people out in the street and go. But the point is, we got to pay attention to that, because I think that's what's stirring up these unhealthy emotions. We have connections that shouldn't be, and now we have habits, and now you better take care of this and maintain this. Well, it shouldn't be, right? Because we're not married. We shouldn't
Right.
have expectation, but we do because we've done it or we've been married. And so
Right.
now it's just like wrestling with that monster is a fight, because it's foolish for people to even think that that's not on the table with folks nowadays. That's always on the table, right? They want to like you, but they also want to know that. So it's just like it's about coming to an understanding and clarity within yourself. Because think about it, the key to all of this is trust. If you know you are with somebody and you know you've seen the red flag of trust, or that you might not be able to trust them, the hardest thing for us to do, Adam, is come to grips and make a true decision to self and maybe step away. We don't want to do that. We like the person so much, or we like this or that about them, that we try to preface in our brain ways to deal with it. But I promise you, when it comes to trust,
Right.
nothing will torment you to a place of mental instability like being in love with somebody that you don't trust. When you in love with somebody that you don't trust,
Wow.
wherever they go, they take you, whether you with them physically or not. When you in love with them and they whatever they're
Right.
doing and going and lying and over here, you just like because you so close to them, you know something isn't right,
Right.
but you don't want to address it.
Yeah.
You know you're not dumb. You know what you feel, and a lot of times when we feel things, we know what it is. Here's the thing: we have messed up the gift of intuition. Intuition is the buffer between sanity and insanity. When God allows you to have intuition, He's telling you, warning, my child, this is going to keep you from going over the line.
Okay.
Heed to my warning. Here is your gift of intuition. We have made it the curse. We have now used intuition to aid us to pull up. I knew it. Look right here. I'm gonna screenshot you, send it to you in a minute. I'm pulling up. That's not how intuition is supposed to work. Intuition is supposed to work on the warning side. It's a warning beacon.
Yeah.
It's not a reaction friend, right? So it's not for it ain't on your side to turn up and kill somebody. That's not what intuition is for. Intuition is to help you navigate so that you don't get hurt, not help you hurt somebody else.
Right.
So I think we need to think about how we are using the things that are in front of us. If we have intuition that's telling you, listen, I know you like that man, I know you like that woman, but I'm trying to show you this person doing them. They don't have no boundaries. They smiling in your face, but they over there on that phone or they in that person's bed when your back turned, right? And that's just a reality that we know we wrestle with and we feel it, but we don't act on it. And so when we don't act on it, we always end up landing at the grand gesture. An explosion happens. Now something grand, somebody almost lost their life or did or end up hospitalized because we ignored the warnings, but waited until it all compiled down on us. And so now here we are at the war zone in the back of the police car or the back of the ambulance because we ignored what the gift was trying to give us. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. No. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I just want to go back real quick to the whole sex outside of marriage part of the conversation that you were just having, since you had to go to Sunday school on that or Bible study or whatever like that. But let me just go back real quick. Let me go back real quick. You just I just want to drop this on you because I think if we don't, I think we've kind of ignored this. It might have been mentioned before, but I think we have kind of ignored this. And that is the fact that often there are certain doors to us as people that should not be opened until ready. And I think a lot of us have become or are I don't want to say victims, but a lot of us have been made to open doors, or rather doors have been opened on us that are in us that should not have been opened.
Yes.
And as a result, we find ourselves going after things that we're not prepared for, that we're not ready for.
Yeah.
So, to your point, in terms of having sex outside of marriage, that's a door that you open.
Yeah.
And because that door is now open, you put yourself in a position that you're not ready to handle it. And I know you said you're grown. I hear you. I know you said you're grown. You're a grown woman. You're a grown man. And you can handle whatever decisions you make. Okay, God bless you. But sir, man, brother, sister, you got to recognize that that door that is now open should not have been opened, because you weren't in the place in the relationship for the door to be open.
Yeah.
So now that the doors, it's like living in a house. Let me put it like this, and I'm gonna let this go. I'm not gonna take too much more time on this. It's like living in a house. You live there, you got your stuff, your possessions are inside your house. And you actually go and you leave, you go to work. But you leave your door to your house wide open.
Yeah.
So that means anybody and everybody can come in and out as much as they please. But you're grown though. But you're grown. Okay. You're gonna have to deal with the fact that people are in your house that you don't want in your house.
Ooh, wow.
Y'all don't want to have a talk. Y'all don't really want to talk about this. You don't really want to talk about this because it's going to expose you to the reality of the decisions that you have made that were not good decisions.
Yeah.
These were decisions that were premature. These were decisions that were outside of the place that God intended you to have this particular type of a relationship.
Yeah.
And when you do it outside of the place that He has designated, when you've opened these doors, now you're vulnerable to each and everything that comes in your direction.
Wow.
Charles, this is the reason why some of us are suffering with some mental health issues.
Sure.
This is the reason why some of us are having to deal with real emotional trauma. Yeah. This is the reason why some of us are triggered the way that we are triggered. This is the reason why we're going through what we're going through, because we have doors that are open that should have never been opened. They were opened prematurely. They were not opened by an authorized person. Wow. Let me break it down. Let me really break it down for you. The only authorized person that's authorized to come in and out of me is my wife.
That's it. Wow.
The only authorized person to come in and out of my wife's life is me. We are the only authorized personnel that has the key to that door. Nobody else should have that key. Y'all got too many people at home, man. You got too many people that got too many keys to the door. Okay, I'm cutting it off. I'm shutting it down.
Listen. Listen. I think about it like this. So let's look at it from a business perspective. A married couple, if you go inside of their establishment, you're going to see the other partner in an ideal situation. It's just them and the other partner. We're not talking about this polygamy stuff and all this side piece, whatever. It's just in a healthy situation, it's them and their partner. No. In the single world, when you are dealing with people, even in some situations that you call your relationship, you are dealing with a public establishment. It's not a personal business.
Right.
If you're going into Walmart in some cases, and I'm saying that to say, think about it like this. Some people that we date or in relationships with, when we enter the relationship, we enter the foyer. You know how places when you go into business or if you're going into like a restaurant, they have that foyer where the greeter is.
Right.
That's when you make the decision to say to yourself, how long is the wait? Because you're looking around and seeing other bodies.
Right.
So you're saying to yourself, if there's nobody there, good, we can get seated right now. But if you go in there, everybody's seated, that seat full, you know I'm going to have to deal with some dualities of personality. So what I'm saying is when we deal with people that aren't necessarily being honest, you're showing up to people's front foyer, and if you look to the left and look to the right, other people are sitting there. There are other people in the house with them, and they are already in there, and they're just not telling you that I still deal with these customers on the sofa over there. That's why they're in the foyer. Now, they may say, well, they're just sitting right there, but you can come right on here in the back. No, the fact that they're out there, just like at a doctor's office, I may get my name called, but the people in the seats are the patients of yours. So my point is we got to be honest and let people know, listen, I'm a public practitioner and I do got some patients. Or just say, no, honest, and be honest. If you're not moving around with all these people, be honest. But if you're not, okay, good for you. But if you are, say it because people can feel it. Anybody that's been intimate with anyone for any length of time, especially if you've practiced a little bit, you can feel activity because of that connection. You can feel when something is off. You can feel when somebody's lying. You can feel when somebody's telling you something that you know that sounds real crazy because you're connected. And so it's just it saves us a lot of time to go into all these crazy situations where we end up with people losing their lives and all this. Just be honest.
Honest, yeah. Be honest.
And then listen, and then in addition to people being honest, if somebody tells you something you don't want to hear, or if you discover something you didn't want to hear or see, you don't have the right to kill someone. You don't have the right to even blow up somebody's life.
Right.
You reap what you sow, right? Do you want somebody to blow your life up?
Right.
All you can do is remove yourself from the equation. And that's it. You know, let's go from there. But I'm just like, man, we got to help. Like I said, man, if we don't get nothing from this, we got to get the fact that, you know, people are, remember, coming together and becoming one, they mean two different things. The single people, we come together, but there is no process. The married people, they're joining together as one because of the process. So as I talk, Adam, I understand the importance more of marriage on tonight. But anyway, on that note, I'm just saying, you know, we out here in this world. I know people like to feel like they can exercise that right, but when I tell you, it's more sane to your soul and spirit when you keep your soul and spirit to yourself. You keep your sanity. But when you share your soul, you share your sanity. So that means if on this day, if somebody don't feel like being sane, you got to deal with what they're feeling because you connected to them. So you got to think of it that way.
Yeah.
It's like when you share the soul, you share the sanity. So the sanity can go either way on any given time. And so you got to think about that and be more cautious of who we are learning to entertain and dating and calling our partners. And if you're not wanting to be attached for the long haul, maybe perhaps we need to stop sampling the hors d'oeuvres. If you don't want the whole meal, let's stop let's just don't even take the hors d'oeuvres. You know, the hors d'oeuvres is the trick today. Oh my God, look at these little small little meals. You can have them, but come on, and dinner's ready. Wait, didn't sign up for dinner. I just wanted the hors d'oeuvres. But anyway, so yeah, so we gotta do better in that situation. Do better and go from there. And like you said, if you don't want them kind of relationship or them kind of problems, don't even do it. But even more so, Adam, I think in this day and time that we're living in, it's showing all of us that we need a different type of relationship.
Oh, absolutely.
Out here today, you need something different that's going to be on a higher frequency and that's going to take you somewhere different with your partner, because this stuff out here today is crazy. So yeah, that's all I got to say on that note.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I'm gonna say like I say. I'm just glad I'm married right now
oh my
today.
goodness.
That's hey. You just talk about some random people that just blew each other's head off or whatever like that.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm not gonna say that. I'm about to get in trouble. I'm just glad I'm married to who I'm married to. That's all I'm gonna say.
Hey, listen, man, it's the thing that we all definitely need to be cognizant of, man, because it's like I said, it's just we got to stop and sometimes think all these things that we think we big and bad enough to do and try. You got to ask yourself, has it worked? Some people are like 40s and 50s and 60s, and it hasn't worked, and that's really a problem, right? It's a problem that we stay on these merry-go-rounds when we see that they don't. These things that we have been doing to call ourselves working something to make it get to an expected end is not working. There's a ton of single women, a ton of single men. And it's for some reason it's so odd that it's not working. And it's like, why isn't that working? Are we really being honest with ourselves? Are we taking accountability? All those kind of things. But seriously, this is bad. And so another thing really quick, I was gonna say, something to do with the couples. I was talking about. It'll come back to me maybe after the next. I'll think about it after before we go off. I had a thought. Anyway, appreciate you guys for tuning in to Unique Perspectives Love Talk Radio, where we talked about today a deleted love. If I can't have you, no one else can. If you're in them kind of situations, run. And I know people probably say, "Well, I don't know. We just had steak yesterday." Listen, you better learn to look between the smoke signals and the truth. A lot of times we know what the truth is. We just hide behind the smoke signal. We know we are dealing with a time bomb, and if you are, you need to think about it and be. If it works for your life, or if you can handle it, fine. But if you can't handle it, and if you know it doesn't work well for your life, don't subject yourself to it, because it's an unhealthy existence, and people will end up, really, really, messed up in this world. So, anything to say, Mr. Ford? You good? What?
I think we done said it all.
All right. Yes. Yeah. So, takeaways, Mr. Ford, today. Remember, people, intuition is a gift. It's not a toxic friend. Intuition is the warning before the destruction. It's letting you know you're getting close to a radioactive boundary. You don't want to go beyond this. Make a decision while you are at this point. It's not supposed to be used as an aid to our drama and our malicious acts because we call ourselves discovering something. If you discover it, then that's that's for you to say to yourself, do I want to chew on this or do I want to take the note from it and go? You know what I mean? Do I have the time? But it's going to be on you because you're grown, so nobody can cry victim after the fact when you know you have seen what you and heard what you needed to hear. You know what I mean? And go from there. But like I said, in this day and time, mental illness is not just in the street, it's in the church, it's everywhere. There isn't like a safety place, it's everywhere. And so these rules, there was once upon a time where we would think that we wouldn't have to talk about certain scenarios even when it came to church. But it is crossing all kind of boundaries, and that whole spirit is running in, out, up, down the street, church, whatever, it's there. And so we have to address it because everybody's searching for love, but we're not searching for monsters, right? So if people are searching for love, then you need to be cognizant of who the bear or either you hugging the bear or you hugging the wolf. But you need to know, what am I hugging? Who am I loving? You know what I mean? Because this is scary out here in this world. All right. Anything, Mr. Ford? You good?
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
I mean, it's just, yeah. I don't have nothing else. Y'all enjoy your holiday. Your holiday, take a break, get some rest, eat some good food, enjoy your families, love on them real good.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Thanks, good father. Anyway, so listen, I was going to say tomorrow is Independence Day. But on tonight, we're having a love call. We come on down to the altar of love call, and today can be your independence. You don't have to be in dramatic relationships, toxic relationships. You can be independent and declare your independence of toxicity. Oh, it's not this kid. All right. But anyway.
What the heck is going on?
I'm teasing, man. All right. No, you didn't get to the point. Tomorrow's Independence Day. This is the kind of show that can help people steer towards their independence. That's all I was trying to say. I ain't being a hater, man. All right, then, y'all.
We should have just said that.